The path to a distinguished lifestyle after 50 is paved with intentional choices about what deserves your hard-earned resources and what doesn't. While most content focuses on what you should buy, today we're addressing the purchases that consistently create regret for men in their prime years. These aren't subjective opinions, but patterns identified through conversations with hundreds of men over 50 who consistently report the same purchasing mistakes. The items that seemed essential in the moment but ultimately became expensive reminders of misplaced priorities. By avoiding these 5 common regret purchases, you'll preserve both your financial resources and your peace of mind, directing your investments toward what genuinely enhances your life rather than what momentarily satisfies impulse. The good news? Every man can immediately implement this wisdom regardless of his current financial position. This isn't about deprivation, but intelligent curation of what actually deserves space in your life after 50. 1. The trending technology. First on our list, the latest trending technology that will be obsolete before you master it. While staying current with essential technology makes sense, the constant pursuit of cutting-edge gadgets consistently creates buyer's remorse for men after 50. The specific pattern involves purchasing complex devices with far more capabilities than you'll actually use. The premium smartphone with features you'll never explore. The elaborate smart home system that becomes a frustration point rather than convenience, or the latest wearable technology that ends up in a drawer within months. The wisdom developed through decades of technology cycles helps you recognize an important truth. The bleeding edge rarely delivers value proportionate to its cost. The technology that genuinely enhances your life is rarely the newest or most expensive option. The alternative approach? Selective adoption of technology that solves actual problems in your life rather than creating new ones. This perspective shift saves not just money but the significant time investment required to master unnecessarily complex systems. 2. The status vehicle. Second, the high-maintenance status vehicle purchased primarily for impression rather than function. While quality transportation matters, the premium luxury car or sports vehicle purchased to recapture youth or project success consistently appears among the most regretted purchases for men after 50. The pattern involves vehicles selected primarily for their brand prestige or performance specifications rather than alignment with your actual lifestyle. The result? Significant depreciation combined with premium maintenance costs for capabilities you rarely utilize. Men repeatedly report the same realization. The anticipated pride and excitement of ownership quickly fades while the substantial financial commitment remains. The vehicle selected to impress others ultimately fails to impress the person who matters most: yourself. The alternative isn't settling for inferior transportation, but selecting vehicles based on actual use patterns, reliability, comfort, and total ownership costs, rather than momentary impression. This approach preserves resources for experiences that create genuine satisfaction rather than temporary status. Third, expensive exercise equipment purchased during moments of fitness inspiration rather than established habits. While physical well-being remains crucial after 50, high-end home gym equipment consistently ranks among the most regretted purchases for men in this life stage. The pattern involves significant investment in specialized machines or comprehensive systems during periods of high motivation, without the established routine to sustain their use. The treadmill that becomes a clothing rack, the weight system that gathers dust, or the specialized training equipment used twice before being abandoned. This creates not just financial waste, but a persistent visual reminder of abandoned intentions that subtly undermines confidence. The equipment purchased to improve well-being often creates the opposite effect: a constant reminder of the gap between aspiration and action. The alternative approach? Start with minimal equipment that supports established habits, expanding only as consistent usage patterns demonstrate need. This progressive investment based on proven behavior rather than aspirational thinking creates both physical and financial health. Fourth, the oversized wardrobe filled with rarely worn items. While appropriate attire matters, the accumulation of excessive clothing consistently creates regret for men after 50, particularly as evolving body shapes and lifestyle needs render much of it unworn. The specific pattern involves continuing the acquisition habits of earlier decades without the corresponding frequency of use. The result is closets filled with items worn once yearly or less, many with tags still attached, creating both physical clutter and financial waste. The psychological weight of excess becomes increasingly apparent with age, each unused item representing not just wasted resources, but the mental burden of maintaining, organizing, and eventually disposing of possessions that deliver no genuine value. The alternative isn't minimalism, but intentional curation. Fewer, better items specifically selected for your current lifestyle and body, rather than aspirational or historical versions of yourself. This approach creates both physical space and mental clarity while preserving resources for genuine priorities. Fifth, the impulsively purchased vacation property or timeshare that creates obligation rather than relaxation. While leisure matters tremendously after 50, the vacation property acquired without thorough consideration of total costs and usage patterns consistently generates regret. The pattern involves purchasing during peak enjoyment of a destination without calculating the complete financial picture. Ongoing maintenance fees, property management costs, taxes, and the opportunity cost of capital tied up in a property used perhaps weeks per year. Beyond financial considerations, these properties often create unexpected psychological burdens. The obligation to use the same destination repeatedly rather than exploring new experiences, the ongoing maintenance concerns, and the complexity of eventual disposition. The alternative for most men is not forgoing vacation, but recognizing that renting provides flexibility, variety, and freedom without the substantial financial and mental overhead of ownership. This approach preserves both capital and optionality, increasingly valuable resources after 50. This perspective isn't about deprivation but liberation, directing your finite resources toward what genuinely enhances your life rather than what momentarily satisfies impulse or projects image. The freedom that comes from eliminating unnecessary acquisition creates space for authentic priorities. The most significant insight shared by men who've navigated these decades successfully isn't about specific items but developing the internal discernment that distinguishes between genuine enhancement and momentary acquisition impulse. If you found value in these insights, subscribe for more practical wisdom about living with intention after 50. The perspective developed through decades of experience becomes your greatest asset when applied to current choices rather than regretted in retrospect.